Welcome back, friends. Let's finish the last type of temporary method of sterilization, that is implants, and then we'll move for the permanent methods of sterilization. Subdermal progesterone implants, Norplant 1, Norplant 2, Implanon. Norplant 1 has 6 rods, Norplant 2 2 rods, and Implanon as single rod. They release LNG. Most popular implant, that is Implanon nowadays, and can be replaced after 3 years. Mechanism of action: they thicken the cervical mucus, suppress the LH surge, and cause either anovulatory cycle or luteal insufficiency, and thus causing endometrial atrophy. And because of this endometrial atrophy, that there is implantation which is defective, and again ovulation is hampered because of thick cervical mucus. Implanon, the main mechanism is ovulation inhibition, and rest of the mechanisms are there like Norplant. Advantages and disadvantages. In female, wherever there is contraindication for use of estrogen, we can use these implants. Immediately postpartum also it can be used. It can also be used in lactating females, and it is not associated with any metabolic effects. Disadvantages: they cause irregular bleeding, headache, there may be sometimes disruption of bleeding pattern, other symptoms like oligomenorrhea, and sometimes there can be a phase of amenorrhea. This is very common symptom, and usually Indian females don't accept this period of amenorrhea or oligomenorrhea, and they get worried about it. So proper counseling before acceptance of the method of contraception is always necessary. We should explain what is going to happen to her if she is going to use this. It doesn't provide any protection against any of the sexually transmitted diseases. What are the contraindications for implants? If there is any irregular PV bleeding, we should not go for these implants, because we don't know whether it is because of the implant or because of any other pathology existing. Thrombophlebitis. Then if there is any family history or known breast disease in that female or any suspected breast cancer, then this should not be used. Acute liver diseases, again a contraindication. Contraception during lactation period. This can be a MCQ, that what are the contraceptives which can be used during lactation period, or a question can be formed this way, that following are the contraceptives which can be used during contraception except. So most likely you all know POP, that is progesterone only pills, mini pills, they can be used during lactation. Then intramuscular depot injection and progesterone implants, they can be used. Barrier methods, condoms, female condoms, today's sponge may not be very reliable with patulous vagina, but they can be used. But male condoms are with spermicide, they provide full safety. Again, permanent method of sterilization like tubectomy and vasectomy can be used in lactation period. Coming to Depo-Provera, depomedroxyprogesterone acetate, that is DMPA. It is administered as an intramuscular injection. 150 milligram of DMPA is injected every 3 monthly. The female is supposed to take this injection. Mechanism of action is that it is the progesterone contraceptive, so naturally that acts on the cervical mucus. It thickens the mucus, causes secretory changes in the endometrium because persistently there is progesterone present in the body, and that will lead to atrophy. So because of this atrophy, the endometrium or the decidua is not receptive for implantation, and it can also inhibit ovulation by inhibiting the LH surge because of presence of progesterone all the time. Again, it is suitable ideally for lactating women in cases of sickle cell diseases or patients with epilepsy. Other advantages: it has no cardiovascular risk because there is no estrogen component in this, and there is no excessive risk for breast cancer. Side effects: there can be a phase of amenorrhea. Patient can have amenorrhea for a period, like it varies patient to patient, but maybe when she is using it, there would be amenorrhea because of persistent progesterone in her body, or sometimes there can be breakthrough bleeding or irregular bleeding present in that particular patient. Again, pre-use counseling is very important. Weight gain can be seen. Once she stops the use of this, then the fertility immediately doesn't come back. There is a period or prolonged infertility is there because ovulation is delayed for a time being. That is why this thing again should be explained to the patient. Then certain contraindications, which are absolute and certain are relative. Pregnancy, it should not be used. Then even in severe coagulation disorder, it should not be used. Or if patient has any irregular genital bleeding, it should not be used. If there is any liver disorders, then again contraindicated. Other things like cardiovascular diseases, depression are the contraindication for the use of DMPM. Failure rate, again, we have seen all of them now. So let's revise the table that the least failure rates are seen in combined OC pills, which is very commonly used in India. Then again in IUCD, the failure rate is 0.5 to 2. Progesterone only pills, the failure rate is 1. DMPS 0.3, Norplant 0.1. Highest is in natural methods. Rhythm method has 24, or highest is in no method use. That's not the failure. Rhythm method has 24. Coitus interruptus has 19. Lactational amenorrhea 2. Barrier method, condom has 14 as a failure rate. And permanent method has 0.1 to 0.5. Now let's move towards the permanent method of sterilization. Vasectomy is the one which is done in males. The vas deferens is divided. That is why the conduction of sperms is prohibited. It is done through a very small incision taken on the scrotum under local anesthesia. Patient has very less morbidity post-operatively. Patient can resume the normal routine work. Only instruction which has to be given to the patient is immediately after surgery, the patient doesn't become sterile. It still has some sperms in the pathway or in conduction system. So 12 ejaculates, minimum 12 ejaculates. He has to use condom or a barrier contraceptive or some other contraceptive. Again, to assure him, at least 2 semen reports should be showing no sperms. Then only we can say that, okay, he is sterile now. Vasectomy has many advantages over tubectomy. Tubectomy needs anesthesia, OT. Vasectomy is under local procedure, much simpler technique, less post-operative morbidity, and immediately the patient can resume its own daily routine duties. What are the complications? Local pain can be there can be skin discoloration, bleeding or hematoma formation, infections can be seen. The failure rate is almost around 0.15 per 100 women years at the end of 1 year. There can also be spontaneous recanalization, and sometimes males have this conception that after vasectomy they will have either decreased libido or they will have impotency. The sexual function will get affected, but this is only psychological. There is no reason that these things should happen actually. So again, pre-operative counseling and building that confidence in them is very important, and if that is there, then only this method would have its deserved success. Advantages, as I said, OPD procedure, local anesthesia, man can resume duties immediately after some rest of 1 or 2 days. Disadvantages, there can be basic disadvantage of this procedure is very poor acceptance in Indian society at least, and that is because of these misconceptions that it will affect the sexual function of that particular man. There can be hematoma and infection, spontaneous recanalization, spermatocele formation can take place. Failure of surgery is known. Any surgery has a failure. Tubectomy also has, vasectomy also has. So failure is known, and it doesn't give any protection against any kind of STDs. NSV, that is a technique where no scalpel is used. Only special instruments are used, like a ringed clamp and a dissecting forceps. With the help of this, a small incision is made, and the incision is so very small that it doesn't even require sutures to close that. With the help of these instruments, very easily vasectomy can be done. It's getting popularized. Advantage, a smaller wound than the conventional technique. Earlier resumption of sexual activity after surgery because there is no scrotal incision. Now coming to very important part, that is tubectomy, female sterilization. Very commonly used, very popular method of sterilization in India. It's permanent method, most popular if MCQ is asked. The places when it can be done, like the stages, it can be done in puerperium, after delivery if she has completed her family, It can be done interval as an interval sterilization. That means post-menstrually, that she is not pregnant. It can be done along with MTP, that is abortion, and followed by sterilization procedure immediately. It can be done along with cesarean sections. So these 4 times when we go for female sterilization method. Methods of performing the surgery: abdominal, there are again many types, or it can also be done vaginally, but which is quite rare. And what is done in camps and altogether 50 cases or 100 cases at a time, that is laparoscopic sterilization camps. So it can also be done laparoscopically. Abdominal TL, conventional method, Minilap method. So let's see what is the conventional method first. All the investigations done, routine, blood group, hemogram, urine routine, blood sugar, HIV, HbSAg, VDRL, anesthesia fitness achieved, patient is taken in OT, anesthesia is either general anesthesia or spinal anesthesia, even can be performed under local anesthesia. Incision, depending on the stage at which, if it is purpural TL, then the incision is taken 2 cm below the fundal height, either vertical or transverse, and then easily tubes can be taken out. If it is done interval or along with MTP, then the incision is just suprapubic incision 2 cm above, a very small incision in the midline is taken. If it is done with cesarean section, the same incision through which we do it. The techniques to be done, most commonly used is Pamroise. It has least failure rate of 0.1 to 0.5%. In this, what do? We take out the tubes, we form a loop, and the loop of the tube is tied with absorbable suture material, commonly used as catgut. Then we cut the loop. Some people crush the ends, and the whole idea is once healing takes place and once the thread gets absorbed, these 2 cut ends would be at distance, so there would be less chances of recanalization. So this is a widely accepted method, Pamroise technique. Again, MCQ can be there. Modified Pamroise, in which it is suggested that when we are forming a loop and tying it with absorbable suture material, one more tie we can have at the medial end with non-absorbable. So that will again increase its effect more than this. Madeliner's technique, the failure rate is 1.5 to 3%. Loop is not cut but just crushed and tied with non-absorbable suture material, that is black silk. And because it is not cut and just tied, maybe chances of recanalization are little high, so the failure rate is little on higher side. Irving's method, medial cut end is buried posteriorly. When the tube is cut, the medial end of it is just taken and buried posteriorly. So that again has good effect. Coroner's incision, coroner's procedure, in which the ampullary end is ligated and resected completely. So these are the different techniques, but most common method is Pamroise method. Then abdominal TL done by Minilaparotomy, also called as Minilap. This can be done under local anesthesia. Again, a very small incision is taken, almost half an inch to 3/4 inch. Along with specially designed retractor, we can retract the abdominal wall, and we can use uterine manipulator, which is inserted through the cervix, and this manipulator helps us to change the direction of the uterus so that tubes can be easily withdrawn outside that small incision. It helps us to find the tubes, and then any of these methods we can use and perform the tubal ligation. So this is Minilap, small incision, local anesthesia, less morbidity, and use of retractor as well as uterine manipulator. Vaginal TL, previously it was very popular, nowadays not much in use, but through posterior colpotomy, we take an incision on the posterior fornix, colpotomy is done, and the tubes, as you know that they are always in the pouch of Douglas along with the ovaries. So from there, we can take out the tubes and perform tubectomy by all these methods. It can also be done along with some plastic surgery on vagina, like suppose you are doing anterior colporrhaphy or colpoperineorrhaphy or some. So you can combine these vaginal surgeries together. Laparoscopic sterilization, very common nowadays. Laparoscope is used. You know the method under GA, usually done. First, Veress needle is inserted. pneumoperitoneum is created, then trocar and cannula, then the scope is introduced. Under vision, uterus tubes are visualized, tubes are picked up, and then tubectomy is performed either by application of silastic bands or Filshie clips, or you can also do fulguration of that tube, and the purpose of sterilization can be achieved. It's done in many camps. Mortality rate is almost 5 to 10% per 1 lakh. Complications of tubectomy: there can be chronic pelvic pain, congestive dysmenorrhea, menstrual abnormalities like menorrhagia, irregular cycles, hypomenorrhea are seen, and cystic ovaries. So this is called as post-ligation syndrome. So many of the patients, they do have chronic pelvic pain, congestive dysmenorrhea and menstrual irregularities after tubectomy, and that we may blame this syndrome or because of the change in the vasculature or the fibrosis which takes place. So maybe because of that, patient have this typical symptoms, and it is called as post-ligation syndrome. So that finishes this topic of contraception and family planning.